So I've just finished another 3-day sugar fast, and I was having some thoughts about how is this actually affecting my training. So I thought I'd do a video today just to kind of discuss how I'm finding the sugar diet / sugar fasting is affecting my performance, both with lifting and with my running and my cycling. As today, I've got my secondary lift day where I'm doing some squats, some bench and some deadlift variations. So I thought I'd take you through that workout and also kind of discuss the observations that I've had, the pros, some of the cons, and kind of my thoughts on how I might be kind of tweaking things going forward based on these 2 weeks that I've kind of been on this sugar diet. So let's get into squatting and we'll discuss how it's affecting my lifting. So last warm-up set done there, feeling pretty good. Let's just kick off with some of the pros. So what I found being on the sugar diet or going through periods of sugar fasting is I have a lot more get up and go to get into the gym and lift. That was something I was definitely lacking before. And I feel now I definitely feel a bit more energized, shall we say, and ready to lift. Now coming from more of a like carnivore / animal based approach to my nutrition, my training felt good. I never had any issues there, but I did feel throughout the session maybe I'd get a little bit more fatigued or I'd have to take a little bit longer in between sets. What I'm finding here is that the amount of time in between sets is a lot quicker. I'm just able to move a lot faster through my sessions, which anyone that's got kids or anyone knows where they're a bit more time poor, that's quite important, because just saving yourself, say 1 minute in between a set adds up to a whole set. That could be about 10-15 minutes extra that you gain back. So you can either do more work in that time, or you essentially get to finish that session earlier and get back to doing the things you need to do. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely been one major drawback, but I'm gonna get this set of 4 pull squats done here at 190 kilos. And then we'll kind of discuss the main drawbacks that I've found from the lifting portion when it comes to this sugar diet. Whew, felt good. A tiny bit slower, I'd say, on that last rep than I'd like, but overall, pretty good. So in regards to some of the drawbacks, I haven't noticed any performance drawbacks really, but what I have noticed is more the psychological drawbacks. Oh, I'm a bit gassed. So I've been lifting pretty heavy on my sugar fasting days. I've not necessarily had any issues. As I said, performance has been great. However, mentally, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting in my protein. Am I really recovering enough? Am I providing my body the nutrients essentially to recover and grow back stronger, especially because I'm in a competition prep where I'm competing in basically 9 to 10 weeks roughly. Being able to recover in between sessions is pretty key, especially as I get to these heavier weeks. Even if there's nothing really physical that's holding me back, just my mental approach to it, thinking, oh, am I providing myself the right nutrients to get stronger? That is something where the mind is a powerful thing. So part of me has taken that into consideration, and it is a tweak that I'm going to make to my approach, which I'll discuss kind of towards the end of this video. But for now, as I said, the main pros has been the energy to kind of get into the sessions and get going, and also the energy throughout the session and like not needing to rest in between sets as I'm filming like this. And the drawbacks have more been like the mental side of thinking, am I actually providing my body with the right nutrients to recover to help me get back stronger to the next session? One thing I have noticed, which I thought was really cool though, is I haven't experienced any DOMS, so that delayed onset of muscle soreness. I've not felt sore necessarily after any of the sessions for a long period of time outside anything normal. So that negative observation essentially is purely up here because physically I've not felt any negative drawbacks. Anyway, let's get into the bench variation now, and we'll talk about kind of the endurance side of things, because I'm also preparing for a half Ironman triathlon. So I'm onto my wide grip Spoto presses. So that's where I'm pausing about 1 inch or 2 off of my chest. And I'm in a much wider grip position compared to my normal competition bench press. So let's have a quick chat about some of the endurance benefits and negatives that I've found so far being on the sugar diet / sugar fasting. Some of the pros, obviously, it's a very carbohydrate rich activity. So I'm definitely fully energized going into sessions, similar to obviously the lifting. But when I was prepping for my triathlons last year, you know, I'm smashing back about 90 grams of carbs or more per hour. So it's something which I'm pretty comfortable with. But outside of that, I wasn't necessarily thinking about being a bit too strict towards any of my other nutrition approaches. It was pretty much just to get a load of carbs in that training window. And then outside of that training window, I was pretty much just eating however I wanted. Now, to be honest, one of the, not drawbacks, but it's kind of like one of the observations that I've made that I need to be very conscious of is when I went for a run the other day, I did a lactate threshold test. So that's where it's a half-hour run, and after a 10-minute warm-up, you run as hard as you can for 20 minutes, and you're gonna take your average heart rate of that 20-minute block. Now, I had a pre-workout lot of carbohydrates, so I think I had some squashies before. I definitely felt I ate too close to the window because I was just bloated very, very quickly. But it's weird to get bloated off of sweets. So I think that's more of my negative thing of I just need to kind of time my pre-workout meal a little bit better when it comes to me doing a bit more of my endurance work. But something I have actually been noticing recently is when it comes to the endurance stuff, I'm cramping a little bit more. So when it comes to like my day to day, completely fine. But when I'm pushing into those threshold capacities, which is half of my training at the moment, I definitely need to kind of up my electrolytes. So it might just mean I need to increase my, say, potassium. I've been a bit more lax on my electrolytes. I've been having my electrolyte drink in the morning, and I could do better with drinking water throughout the day. I've definitely been substituting water for juice, which isn't ideal. But it's something I've become very aware of in the past couple of days. So it's already something that I've been putting into place. And I found on that lactate threshold run, I didn't cramp up. So the observation there is I need to drink more water and maybe still include some potassium. So I use low salt in my drinks, so kind of because it's low sodium and then high potassium based salt. So I use that. And then I have my electrolyte sachet as a whole that I have pre-workout anyway. So yeah, that was an interesting observation. Anyway, let's get into this set of 5. So I've got 5 at 127.5 kilos. That's 2.5 kilos up from last week, but 1 less rep. So let's do it. Let's take it slow. Take a walk by the river. So in summary, how am I feeling doing a sugar diet and sugar fasting with this powerlifting and triathlon training? I feel really good. I feel energized. I feel ready to go into each session and kind of like hit it as hard as I can. I'm also feeling pretty energized throughout the sessions. I am obviously very concerned about muscle loss, but the fact that I am on TRT, I'm very aware that I have a much higher chance of retaining as much muscle as possible. Now, even though, yeah, I'd like to have some weight loss, I still have a very much performance-driven goal. Now, that does mean I will be making a few tweaks to this protocol, but nothing too major. I think one of the biggest realizations is I was just under eating carbs in general. If I wasn't following a specific nutritional approach and I was just eating whatever I wanted, then yeah, I was getting plenty of carbs, but then I was also getting plenty of fat and plenty of protein along with that as well. But when I was on it, I was pretty much just following a more lower carb approach to my nutrition. So just doing these 2 weeks so far has just made me realize and experience the power of carbohydrates. And to me, throughout my whole training career, like I'm very content with how strong I am. I'm content with my size. I'm relatively content with my conditioning. Yes, I'd like to be in better shape, but I love doing a variety of things. Over the past 15 years, I've gone through marathons, bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, fucking weightlifting, you name it, right? Rugby league. My whole reason for doing that is because, one, I like to experience different ways of training, but also what's important to me is experiencing what my clients go through. I have a wide range of clients with a very wide background and very different goals. And to have personally experienced certain things, I can then empathize on a different level than just saying, follow this and you'll get to the result. I actually understand the psychological side of it as well as the physical stuff. An example is as simple as what it's like to compete in a powerlifting competition and the stress on the body in the final few weeks and what that actually feels like. It's just an example. And when I've helped other people prep for their lifting competitions, I've understood that stress. And when they're telling me this is sore or that's feeling a little bit ropey, I'm saying, oh, that's supposed to feel like this. Does it feel like that? And they're like, yeah, it does. And it's like, it brings a level of connection, which as a personal trainer, for me, is incredibly important because it just helps you get on the same level as your client. Now, am I going to change my approach to the sugar diet? To be honest with you, the performance that I've been feeling in my sessions has been so good, I don't really want to. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the main drawbacks is more the psychological side of it, of worrying about losing muscle or worrying about not recovering in between sessions. I do think that if I start to feel that I'm under recovering, then I might look to maybe make some changes. But to be honest with you, at the moment, I'm giving my body the fuel to work hard, and that's what I need to be doing. I've got 9 to 10 weeks till my powerlifting competition and 16 weeks till my half Ironman triathlon. So when you're trying to achieve two opposite end goals, maximal strength and then ultra endurance, at the end of the day, I need to be able to recover as well as possible. And I'm very pushed on time. So I can't just, rest during the day. I'm working a lot at the moment. I have 2 young kids. One of them's about to go onto half term. So I'm going to have a lot of childcare that I need to kind of deal with over the next week. And at the end of the day, training is just a very small part of my life. I might be a trainer, but that's my job. That's what I do. Training isn't my life. So finding a nutrition approach that makes me feel good, makes me feel energized, is massive. But I will be making kind of one major change. And I'm just going to finish up my warm-up sets. I've got to build up to 220 or 225 for a set of 3 pause deadlifts. So let me finish off my warm-ups, and then I'll discuss how I'm going to be changing going forward next week. So I'm going to go with 220 for today's top set. Now, the changes that I'm going to make is on my lifting days, I'm going to follow the more sugar diet approach to things. And that's basically fruit, honey, and sugar during the day. And then when it comes to the evening, some lean protein and potentially some starches, either a salad or a starch, depends on how hard the session was or if it was a double training day. And then on my more aerobic days, so the days where I'm only running or I'm only cycling, I'm gonna keep them as sugar fasting days, because at the end of the day, I feel really good sugar fasting, and endurance demands carbohydrates, so it just kind of makes sense. I think that's how I'm going to be pushing it. And then on my rest days, I'll be mainly sticking with sugar fasting unless I feel like I really need a little bit of extra food. So it might be then obviously going a bit more dirty or kind of leaning a bit more into those starches and some lean proteins. But sugar fasting has just felt too good. I felt too energized and I feel great. I don't really want to change that. So I'm really happy with how things are going so far. So let's get into this top set of 3 at 220 kilos. Whew, that was a very good session. So I hit all my numbers today, which I'm buzzing about. 4 pause squats at 210 kilos. I had 5 wide grip Spoto presses at 127.5 kilos, and then 3 pause deadlifts at 220 kilos. So clearly the sugar diet and TRT are working. Not gonna lie, I do understand the performance enhancements from the testosterone replacement therapy is definitely going to be helping me a lot here. But the energy that I've felt since moving on to a more carbohydrate rich diet, sounds really obvious, feels fucking fantastic. So anyway, I'm gonna be sticking with this. I'm keeping you guys updated along this journey. I'm feeling good. I hope you are feeling great. Welcome to a lot of the new subscribers. Thank you to everyone that's been commenting in the comment section down below. It's been awesome to see so many people giving this a try. Even all the negative comments, completely welcome them. Please discussing down below. I enjoy reading other people's journeys and other people's thoughts of this seems like a really ridiculous, stupid, shitty diet, and other people like, fair play, I'll be really enjoying it. And others just like going, cool, I'm just here for the ride and see how you get on. So thank you to each and every one of you. I'll catch you guys in the next video.